If you haven't come and seen us before, I am Matthew. I GM the lovely actual play with some lovely players. Let There Be Thunder on Thursdays. It is currently running at 1800 GMT. It is on the schedule, so hopefully you can see it potentially. This is one of said lovely players who will introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Anne, and I play Sophie, the Blue Ranger.
One of the things we did when we were first sort of coming together with the idea of doing this is we wanted to do character creation videos. We just basically wanted to just try and sort of be helpful. There's still people who aren't quite sure how to build characters using Essence 20, and we figured if we did one for each character, popped it up on Twitch, did it live, we popped it on YouTube, maybe somebody would see it and maybe it'd help them. Unfortunately at the time, Anne wasn't with us on episode 1. I think Anne actually joined us on episode 7. 7. Oh,
7.
Correct.
Yes.
Yes. So we unfortunately didn't do an episode with Anne. But we're still seeing the same sort of questions. And more questions now about Zords. So Anne, very lovely, offered to walk us through how she developed Sophie, who joined, I think, at level 3?
I actually joined at level 2.
Oh, level 2.
Yeah, we didn't get to level 3 until episode 10 with the Infernia fight. Because
Infernia.
Zords.
Oh, that's probably more because I'm very softly spoken. If you bear with me 1 second, so let me just...
Is my microphone too loud?
No, it's generally me. Especially because I have to route mine through quite a few different things to actually get the closed captions to work. I love my Mac. But in order for closed captions to come through on the Mac, I'm having to run several virtual microphones in one go, which is fun and tends to cut the audio, unfortunately. But Sophie Marsh, who joined us at level 2, not level 3, walk us through what you sort of saw Sophie's role as in the group, because we had a green, red, yellow, and black ranger at the time.
So I kind of had Sophie already partially built because I played a character very similar to her for a few weeks before that fell apart, and for me, Sophie was always meant to be like a support character in a lot of ways. I didn't originally envision her to be deep into tech or research. I conceptualized her as a medic, and that's what her main thing was. So at level 1, I had her strength 2, speed 5, smart 6, and social 3 as like her baseline essence scores. So I really wanted her to be able to do the medicine and also have a high awareness. So that was kind of
those
in terms of her smart skills, those were the main ones I wanted to focus on her.
Those alertness insight checks, 100%. I'm not saying they've come to bite me in the behind yet, but they've been very close to revealing things that I've not intended to reveal as early as they have given information. Yeah, you look innocent. You see that smile? She's like, so for anybody that has or hasn't, to be fair, played an Essence 20 game, there are 4 sort of attributes. They're broken down into strength, speed, smarts, and social. And you can see Sophie Marsh on the screen at the moment. She is a little bit higher here because this is the current Sophie Marsh. But with the strength, speed, smarts, and social, these are your ability to do something. It's not necessarily, or your capability to do something. So strength doesn't necessarily mean you are a strong person. You're physically capable of lifting a lot of things, but it gives you the potential to do that if you put points into brawn. And with those points, so with 2 in strength, you'd have 2 points to put into strength skills. With 5 in smarts, you'd have 5 points to put into smart skills. Some of those skills are locked behind your origin. So hypothetically, your origin, in fact, not even hypothetically, do you know what you chose? Obviously, you know what origin you chose, but do you know what essence you chose with Sophie's origin, out of curiosity?
I do, actually, with a little bit of clever reverse engineering. I think I actually had her at, did I? Oh, I think I actually gave her a +1 to social and gave her an extra rank in deception.
Fantastic. So with Curious then, let's have a quick look myself. In fact, I'm going to go old school to avoid clogging up the overlay. I'm actually going to get my physical lovely book, which doesn't get enough love because of PDFs and all of the other bits and pieces. I really should open it up some more, just for the sake of opening it up some more, really. And we're going to flick to page 24 for Curious. And we can see that you can pick either smarts-based or social-based. You get to pick either of those two, put a point in one of those 2 essence, and pick one of the skills that is listed to put those at a D2, or depending on which way you've done it, if you've decided to put do like your roll first, you could then use it to make a specialization. But essentially, you put a point in the essence, you put a point in a skill that is listed at that essence. So for social, Anne could have picked deception, persuasion, or streetwise.
I ended up picking deception. Mostly because I think based on her background and just like, I thought it would be more useful for her to be able to, tell a few white lies from time to time. So for the entirety of level 2, she had more ranks in deception than persuasion. So that's a fun tidbit. I made her a decently good liar for level 2 anyway.
Definitely.
It's only come up like once where I actually rolled for deception. And I critted against Sarah. It's never actually come up. I
think
feel
it
like you've
came
never.
up- I think it came. It's not come up against an NPC so far, but I think you also used it on Peter last session, and somehow he managed to crit on.
No, I
No?
had him roll. I had him roll against my my cleverness. It was a flat.
Okay. You did.
It was against my cleverness.
Oh, now I'm curious who would have won on a roll off. Oh.
He rolled surprisingly high
He
for
did
that.
roll surprisingly high.
I probably still would have lost, but that's.
So yeah, curious. As I said, you pick the essence, you pick a skill, you get 1 at +1, you get the skill at a D2. You then sort of work your way down. You've got your ground movement, which we can see here on the sheet is 35 foot. You also get some languages. You are fluent in your native language, 1 additional language for each 2 points of smarts you possess, and you get an origin benefit. So for Sophie, the origin benefit was that she could take a general perk that she met the requirements for.
Question about the languages.
Yep.
Because it's not actually clear. Is it every 2 points of smarts you have at level 1? Because
you still get more languages. That was something I was going to be bringing up over the next couple of days in our Discord chat, to be honest with you. Because there's a few people that get more languages than they have. Yeah.
She needs more languages. Okay, so
earlier today.
I was going to cover this when we spoke about influences, because this is a huge part of her character. But for the general perk that I chose EMT Crash Course. Because part of her backstory is that she was a junior EMT. She volunteered as a junior paramedic in her teens. Yeah, so that's why at level 1 I took that general perk. And yeah, the only thing that it really adds is the ability to heal essence drain. I think what it was, because you can use the med kit to first aid. So it allows you to first aid with a med kit, but then it also allows you to heal essence drain.
Which is
bad.
It's very bad. Essence drain is very bad. Because when you get to 0 in an essence, depending on the essence, there's a very negative mechanic associated with each one, and there's very few ways at the moment to fix them. This is one of, if not the only way written in the book, except for flat out go for a sleep.
You regain 1 essence point per rest,
yeah,
and then this with a check allows you to fix it faster, I guess. It hasn't come up yet, but I feel like if it does come up in the future, I'm going to be really glad I can do this.
I like how she says if. Personally, I would say when.
Look, okay, all right, we're doing it live. Let me rephrase that. Oh, don't look at me like you're innocent, Matthew. I will be glad. I will be glad when this eventually comes up. That I'm going to be glad that I'll be able to do this.
So just to sort of look back at the chat for a second, very quickly. So Phoenix Melody suggests you take putty as a language, first off.
That's Peter's. That's one of Peter's languages, isn't it? Like, for real, officially?
It is, yep.
Oh, okay.
So, skills per essence score is a 1-for-1. If you have a strength of 3, you should have 3 points worth of skills in an essence. In strength. You could have D2, 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 D4, D6. You could have D4 with a specialization, but ultimately 3 points. There are some exceptions to this. Blue Ranger with their grid tech can break this a little bit. And the White Ranger with their grid relic weapon skill dice sort of breaks it, because when they're using their weapon, like their grid relic weapon, they can roll with their might or finesse, but on their actual table they have a lovely dice that actually goes past where you can normally get to on the table without upshifts. And yes, it does include specializations. So if we have a look at Sophie very quickly, just as an example, alertness, D2, D4, insight is 3 points.
Fun fact, even though I knew that there was no benefit in doing it, I gave Sophie the insight specialization at level 1 when I built her, because I knew that it was going to be her main thing, and then I just added more ranks as I went on.
So you had it as a D2 with a specialization.
Yeah, I did for a while.
Yeah. So that's 3 points there. Science.
Oh no!
D2,
wait,
D4,
wait,
medicine.
no! It was a D2 in medicine, or a D2 in science with a specialization in medicine. So medicine. I had a D4 in alertness plus insight specialization, and then I had a D2 in science and the medicine specialization. That's what I had at level 1.
So yeah, it does indeed include specializations in the point for point.
My main reasoning behind it is that even though she had all of this experience as a junior medic, I was probably going to do more insight checks. So I was just like, I'm just going to put a D4 in alertness. Also, alertness is also your perception skill. So I knew that alertness was going to be often used. Perception is a specialty of alertness. So I just figured it was probably better for me to have more ranks in alertness early and just kind of build up her knowledge base, as time passed. She took more classes at school and more life experience.
Getting on with that pre-med.
Yeah. So that was my main decision for that.
Yeah. Phoenix Melody, I can explain specializations, and through the power of laziness, I have props because I haven't moved my dice tray. So, if you hypothetically have and I went for the blue ones just because, but if you have a D6 in a skill with a specialization, you would roll the D2, the D4. It's a bit difficult because I've got giant fingers. And a D6. You would take the highest of those 3 as the result. So if you rolled a 2 on the D2, a 3 on the D3, and a 1 on the... a 3 on the D4, and a 1 on the D6, you take the 3 on the D4. Fantastic. You would add it to your D20, yeah. And additionally, so you can't crit on a D2. The general rule is you can't crit on a D2 before anybody sees this and tells me I'm wrong. Because there are some specific exceptions in other Essence 20 products that you can. But, again, we roll these 3 dice. We get a 1 on a D2. We get a 5 on the D6. And we get the lovely 4, which is a lightning bolt, on the D4. So, we take the highest dice result, which is a 5, but we still crit, because we crit on a dice we rolled with a specialization. Specializations are awesome. And if you get upshifts, you still roll all the dice. So if you had an upshift that allowed you to roll 3d6, 2d8,
1d12. It's 3.
It is 1d12, thank you. All of the dice.
It's 2d6, 2d8. I don't remember how the ladder works. Hold on.
3d6, 2d8.
I have my Sophie book here somewhere. Oh, there it is. It's under the pizza.
Erasure. 3d6, 2d8, d12, d10, d8, d6, d4, d2.
Yep. You cannot go past...
to the lovely GM screen.
You cannot go past a d12 without special things, correct?
Yep. But you will... Any of those rolls are a crit, even if they're not the roll that you use, because a different roll is higher, it is a crit.
Yeah. So you have more chances to roll max on more dice. It's a lot.
Specializations are awesome.
Hilariously, for those of you who are used to playing games like D&D, a natural 20, still not a crit.
It's good. A natural 20.
It's a lot. It's good, still not a crit.
Yeah. And something I should add to that previous statement is you do still need to succeed on the skill check.
Oh, yeah.
Just critting doesn't mean you succeed.
You have to...
You still need to pass the difficulty.
Yeah, you need to pass the difficulty.
Yeah. However, a 1 on a d20 is bad.
Always bad. There's no way you can make that good. Actually, that's not entirely true.
Story points.
Yes.
But slightly off topic.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. We've covered Curious.
We have.
We have covered the general perk, because that was the question I was going to ask.
Yep.
We've covered languages.
Yes.
Not the ones that Sophie has picked. If you want to tell us.
English. So far I have English, French, and Spanish. Yeah, I had it somewhere in this book that she was born in France. So that's why the French. But other than that, I don't really know. I might have Sophie learn from Peter how to speak putty.
I'm 90% certain that Michael chose putty just so he could make that warbling noise whenever he wanted to. But it's worked out. See the last session for proof.
Oh God, that was such a That was such a. It was so random. Yeah. So those are her languages so far.
Plot twist.
I just have to figure out the rest because she's now at smart 7, so I have to give her an extra language. Hold on. So is it your main language plus one for every 2?
It should specifically say on the origin, so give me just one second because I just flicked it off.
No, I'm like, I just wanted to double check because I was like, did I give my character enough languages?
So it is your fluent
native language
and 1 additional language for each 2 points of smarts. So at this point, you should know
1 extra. I should know 4.
4 languages total.
Fine. Yeah. Sophie's just gonna learn
maths.
Russian during whatever spare time she has left. It's fine.
I love that. Whatever spare time she has left.
I don't know.
If you have spare time, I am not doing this right.
I'm not saying she does. She had to change her major, remember?
I do remember.
Okay, so that is the origin. I guess we can move on from that.
We'll just move over to Blue Ranger quickly.
Oh, are we? Okay, so we're doing role before influences?
Yeah, just because of the way the book lays it out, and I've got the book physically in front of me. So we're not going to go level by level by level by level.
Okay. We got to talk about the cool parts, though.
We've got to talk about the cool parts, 100%.
Are we going to talk about all of the cool parts up to level 5? Because those are a few cool parts.
You tell me.
Because I thought we were going to...
What you love about the blue spectrum.
What? Okay. I guess we can do it that way, because I thought we were going to cover, like, Sophie at level 1 and then talk about the cool parts.
Have you broken it down completely?
I have, actually.
Oh, fantastic then.
So we can do...
So we know the skills for Sophie at
we
level
do.
1.
And I also know... Yeah, and and then we can also cover influences, right? So we'll cover We could cover influences. But yeah, I know.
Let's cover influences quickly, and then we'll go to the Blue Ranger role. So tell us what influences Sophie had at level 1.
At level 1, I picked 2 influences. I picked Nomad, because she is the daughter of a medic in the army. Well, he's not a medic in the army anymore, but she moved around a lot as a kid, and so I picked this influence specifically because of the perk that it gives. It is my favorite influence perk in the entire game. And it says, sorry, my computer is being weird.
That's okay.
It says you gain an edge on social tests when attempting to gain insight into someone's motives or to see if they are lying to you. Additionally, you have edge on any knowledge test about cities you have lived in, which was probably only relevant maybe once or twice early on when I started playing. But the Nomad influence has a chart of various, real world cities. And I went to Matt and I said, hey, I know this is like this alternate universe thing, but do the other cities in the Power Rangers universe exist? And then he told me, of course they exist, but they don't have any Rangers in them. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. It doesn't really matter except for my, backstory. It's fine. It's not going to be relevant at all. So for those of you who are familiar with Power Rangers, the 3 cities that I actually chose were Blue Bay Harbor, which is the setting of Power Rangers Ninja Storm. Reefside, which is the setting of Power Rangers Dino Thunder. And Mariner Bay, the setting of Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue, and my favorite series of all time. So that's it for the Nomad perk. Very insightful and knowledgeable about 3 very specific places.
Just for the record, just acknowledging the accusation coming out of the chat here. At the time, there were no other Power Ranger teams.
Yeah, to be fair, when I joined, like when I agreed to play at this table, you know, when I was talking to Matt about joining the game, at the time he was not lying.
But
look, spoilers.
I was like, well, you know.
And thus started the relation.
Stories evolve.
And thus started our very healthy friendship where he would torment me in game. Also, I give him a hard time, but guy, such a good storyteller. And you can't do anything about it but take the compliments.
Moving swiftly on.
Sorry, I couldn't help myself. And then the other influence I picked up is community helper. And because I am a masochist who likes being stressed out or role-playing stressed out characters, apparently, I decided to build Sophie very much as the team's medic. And the influence perk for community helper says that you gain an edge on any non-combat tasks related to your chosen service, which for Sophie is EMT, when your influence comes into play. So basically, if it's non-combat and I have to do a medicine check, that perk applies.
It is a very good influence.
It also has a very fun hang-up. So,
would you like to share?
So for every influence you take after the first, you also have to pick up the hang-up associated with all of the other influences on your sheet. So for community helper, the perk essentially says, let me see. Oh, you run into dangerous situations to help others without thinking, and your desire to help others above yourself often puts you in harm's way. Yeah, that's a very real thing that happened to Sophie. See episode 15. No.
And
episode 14?
Episode 7.
Episode...
and episode 8.
And episode 8. And episode...
Yeah.
Episode 14. It was a whole thing. It
happened a few times.
If an innocent person is in danger, you feel compelled to aid them before any other task. And if you're in combat, you'll heal them first before you heal yourself, even if strategically unsound. So it specifically says innocent people, but I kind of took it up to the next level and just said literally everyone, including teammates. So it's if you want to play a character like this in challenge mode, play it like me. Otherwise, remember that the wording specifically says innocent people. Yeah, that's it for the influences.
So with character creation, you're limited to 3 influences. You don't have to take 3. you do have to take one. And if you don't want to use the hang up from the influence, you don't have to. So you could sort of mix and match them a little bit. I do believe out of all of you, the only person that did was Q. J for Q. But yes, it gives you a way to develop your character, a way to sort of have an idea about who they are at the beginning of the game. Gives you bonds, so things that you can use to
drive your RP,
flesh out. Yes, exactly. How you express your character, how you think about them. All very useful things, I think, personally.
I think that influencers are fun because it rewards you for thinking about who your character is by giving you a mechanical benefit. For instance,
yes,
you know, the thought that I put into where Sophie came from and how she moved around a lot, and the mechanical benefit of Nomad, like, really kind of formed a lot of her personality, and, you know, like, her being this really insightful person that can read people and, you know, figure out what to say from there and understand her surroundings just because she's been all over the place. Or, you know, being rewarded for, you know, giving her a background as a volunteer EMT in her teens, you know, and being able to contribute that. So that's probably my favorite part of the character creation, and that it's that people get rewarded for thinking about their backstories by having a mechanical benefit to them.
And I appreciate the language it uses. They called hang-ups, and to a degree they have downsides. But they don't hamper you.
I don't think they're that debilitating at all.
They kind of
it makes
decisions one way. You're a Power Ranger.
It makes things interesting.
Yeah. Saving the innocent people at the end of the day. You're gonna do it.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense for, you know, a regular civilian with no powers and ping pong paddles.
I hadn't forgotten about the ping pong paddles. Yeah.
You could have given me something else, but no. You were like, there's just ping pong paddles there. And I'm like...
It's a whole just collection of ping pong tables. Ping pong tables.
So there's ping pong throwing weapons.
And ping pong paddles.
What was I going to do with that? But also I was like, wait a minute. I can throw things, right? With targeting. And then it was like...
Yes. So, Blue Ranger.
Yep. Yes.
There's not an awful lot at first level, to be fair, between any of the Rangers. They get their iconic role perk, which has a lot in it.
It leads into more things later, is what it is. Like, it plays off of the other perks. And at level 1,
cool stuff.
Yeah, and at level 1, Sophie gets her idea points. So the perk is called Eureka, and essentially what idea points do, I called them story points by accident. They're different points. Okay. So at any point where you are about to make a skill check with a smart skill, you may spend an idea point to gain edge on that roll. Very important. because I I roll alertness with edge so much because of my insight checks that I forget I can use my idea points to also roll alertness with edge for perception-based checks.
I'm saying
so it
nothing,
essentially will.
This is true.
So if you are a Blue Ranger with idea points, do not forget that you have idea points for your smarts-based skills. You don't have that many of them. At level 1, you only have 2, but they're still very useful.
If you're a fan of props, if you like things to have to handle, especially if you have an issue with waving your hand and gesticulating like me, having things to be able to sort of hold is very useful. The lovely Jay sent me these lovely tokens, which I use to track things like story points for the Rangers, story points for the bad guys, so I don't have to tell them how many story points we've got. But it also lets me track different things, like if I've got special abilities the bad guys can use.
I once used jelly beans to track my idea points. I just ate them when I used them.
I love that. I genuinely love that. My problem.
I should do it more.
I'd eat all the jelly beans. I have no self-control.
Yeah, I picked out the blue ones specifically too. It's great.
I'd eat all the jelly beans. I know I would, but it's such a good idea. And again, it's just a useful prop. You don't have to have, super expensive anything. Glass beads from a vase, coins, loose coins that you've got in your pocket. Anything can be useful.
Yeah, so idea points at level 1. That's pretty much the signature thing for Sophie.
And then we start picking up some other cool stuff at level 2. So, just very quickly, you also got a +1 increase. So if you look through the table, if you've got the book, if you've got the PDF, we're on page 37. Just if you're following along, you can see table 4-3, the Blue Ranger. So at level 1, you get the +1 speed increase and a +2 smarts increase. Level 2, you get the +1 speed increase. Yep. And some more cool role perks.
Yep. My favorite thing about level 2 is actually the grid tech. Specifically the grid tech I chose for Sophie for grid tech 1. Looking at all of the options that I had, I tried to do something that would benefit the group, and then something that, if I had options to benefit me, yeah, I'm going to take those. So, what I did was I took the blaster focusers that add that adds an upshift to any of the blade blaster attacks for anybody on the team. So that was, I thought, I mean, nobody really uses their blade blasters anymore at all.
We did have a whole period just after you joined where everybody was like, I'm going to use my blade blaster because with the upshift it's really cool. And now nobody's using it again.
It's fine though. Like, I don't mind. But my actual favorite grid tech for grid tech 1 is the aptitude. What is it?
Aptitude
augmenter.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It says you may reroll 1s and 2s while using that skill. It does not specify D20 or skill die. So either one, I suppose that applies. It also says this.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah. I still really suck at shooting, but I can reroll 1s and 2s when I remember. Yeah, and I can choose this multiple times for different skills as well. So never know when that's going to come up again. So that's my favorite part of level 2. What else we got at level 2? That's really it. I gave myself
Helping hands.
Oh, helping hands, yeah.
How did you forget helping hands?
Because I thought I've Yeah, that's a good point. That's a very important one. How did I forget about that? Oh, because I put grid tech under helping hand and skipped past it on
just got excited.
Scrolled past it. I did get excited. Grid tech is exciting when you're a Blue Ranger.
It is.
However, helping hand is even more excited when you're the medic.
Our lovely Green Ranger, Michael, who plays Peter, has joined us in chat. Only almost an hour late. And if you haven't seen his statement, it is heal me.
Damn it, Michael.
I feel like Peter starts need to carry around his own medkit.
You can't heal yourself if you're gotten your butt kicked. Sorry.
Sorry, everybody.
So this is the real reason why he likes Sophie.
Yeah, helping hands.
Okay, so this is my other favorite part of level 2. Also the one thing that causes my character and maybe me a little bit of stress. So helping hand works this way. Starting at the 2nd level, you can use a connection to the morphing grid to patch up the power shelf of another team member. As a free action, you may spend 1 personal power to heal any morphed member of a Power Rangers team. 1 health. So, very specifically, helping hand only works if your target is morphed. Also, if you are morphed. So, those are morphed specific abilities.
Yeah, there's very few amongst all 6 spectrums that require you to be morphed, but this is one of them.
Yeah, I generally explain it as if it requires personal power, more than likely it's a morphed ability that you wouldn't be able to access when you're not morphed. The influence perks are things that work in your unmorphed everyday life as well. That's how I generally try to explain it. I'm sure there are exceptions and things that are weird, but for the most part, that's how I like to explain it. But yeah.
But 60-foot healing, slight stress when you're trying to keep people fighting, watching your PowerPoints.
Oh, it's such a drain on the PowerPoints, my dude. Especially when people insist on getting their butts kicked.
Yep.
Peter.
I want to fight a giant flying gorilla creature. Not naming any names.
Listen, we all know the real reason Peter likes Sophie. It's the healing. She's the medic. Get close to the medic.
Everybody always befriend the medic. The medic is all very useful. Keep them on your good side. Keep on their good side. Yeah. Level 3.
Ooh, level 3 is the most fun because we get Zords.
We do indeed get Zords.
This is fun. Also, slightly connected to the Zord thing. Sophie's Zord is the unicorn. If you recall, Matthew, the foreshadowing in episode 7,
yep.
The unicorn plushie.
The unicorn plushie.
was absolutely by accident, because the previous incarnation of this character, the original version of his character back when she was called Trixie, was also had unicorn as a Zord. So I just associated unicorn. I was just hyper focused on unicorn. But yeah.
It worked.
Also, I don't think
safe.
it's hilarious. Yeah.
We will have a look at Zords shortly after we've finished going through Sophie's character. But yes, at level 3 you unlock Zords. You get the ability to call them. You get the ability to fight in them. They're pretty awesome. We will say more shortly. Level 4.
The notable thing about level 4 is that is when you first get, officially when you are first able to get a general perk if your origin does not give you one. So this is actually Sophie's second general perk, and I chose Dodgy because +2 to evasion, please. Yep. And also defend as a free action. Those are two very good things. Also, when you have high speed, you've got all the free actions to do all the things. Heal you, defend.
So, just to answer a question in the chat, so for Davy Jones Show, the decision was mine. So Davy Jones Show asks, how for the Zords, how did you decide on unicorn, dragon, etc.? I came up with an idea about the game. Like, I came up with a world, a general outline, and the core idea was that the original Power Rangers had left and they'd gone off to do the other bits in space, leaving behind Kim and Tommy. And because we never really saw much of a change between the Mighty Morphing and when they did the transition to Thunder Zords, I wanted to emphasize that really heavily. So the crossover was that they'd had that period, but the Zords were replacing the original ones. They had new suits, they had new weapons, and they left that behind to become, for the most part, the Space Rangers, except for Tommy, who was now the White Ranger. Yeah, so the idea was that they were the replacement, sort of replacement, Thunder Rangers. For the most part, they were the original Thunder Rangers, because the other part of it in my head was that the grid responds to the individual. We know that when you pick up when you pick up the coin, you imprint upon the morphing grid. Your personality imprints upon the morphing grid.
Relevant to Sophie, who tried to return the coin and was like,
the morphing grid was like, no.
You have a morpher now.
Yeah, sorry. So that's why when we've had 2 Blue Rangers and 2 Black Rangers, 2 different lots of weapons, because 2 different lots of people. They're not the same. Their personalities aren't the same. Sophie's a healer. Sophie's more backline. She is more careful. And she's very good at shooting stuff.
Careful.
Yeah, careful. And hopefully, time zones and schedules permitting, we can do another one of these with Michael, and we'll go through Sarah. But Sarah's weapon is completely different from the original Black Ranger we had, because Sarah is completely different from the Black Ranger we had. So yeah, we kind of were following on from a concept that exploded. And yes, Michael wanted a Dragon Zord. Yeah.
That was a very important thing.
That was a very important thing for Michael. Yeah.
I mean, do we want to talk a little bit about the power weapon?
Yeah.
Okay, so the power weapon was something that also was imported from a different version of this character. I call it the bladed bow. It shoots energy instead of actual like sharp arrows because I based it off of the pink Turbo Ranger's weapon that shot lasers. So I was like, okay, that's cool. And then I originally built this character as a Black Spectrum character, and I had a versatile weapon. And I was like, you know what? I know the Blue Ranger has a versatile weapon, so like, what can I do? And I know that the original Power Lance, you can split it in half, like, so I was like, well,
Sai?
I think you can.
Yeah, no, sorry, into Sai, S-A-I. I think.
Oh, yeah, is that what it was? Yeah. Anyway, the weapon itself split into half, like, you know, dual wielding size. Yes, that's it. So I wanted to do something similar because originally what it was when I conceptualized this weapon for a different character was just it was going to be a two-handed melee weapon that I was just going to use to block and like do sharp damage with the bladed ends. But I was like, I want to dual wield things. Dual wielding, you know, it'll make me feel really badass. So I essentially came up with the idea that when I would split it, it would shrink the two ends would shrink into dagger-sized weapons. So that's how I conceptualized that weapon, and it is really outrageous and ridiculous, but somehow not the most outrageous and ridiculous weapon on the team.
It is not the most outrageous and ridiculous weapon on the team. Part of me wishes sometimes people could see some of the Discord chats and some of the behind-the-scenes group chats that get involved. It hasn't happened for a while, but there was a period where Panic used the word gunchucks at least half a dozen times per episode behind the... like during the breaks.
We're still
nunchucks that had like a gun attached to them.
We still talk about gunchucks. Yep. We just don't do it as loudly anymore.
And the worst part was it just happened so long for such a period of time that at one point I just woke up and was like, this is how you make gunchucks work, and wrote them down, and then instantly hated myself because I made gunchucks work and wrote them down. But yeah, that is the beauty, in my opinion. One of the beautiful things about E20 is that overall it's a low damage system. You don't need weapons to be doing tons of damage. Most things don't have lots of health. So most weapons only do 1 or 2 points of damage. So it's really easy to build a quick weapon. You look at the book, come up with something close enough, go for it. Get creative.
And yeah. I think the fun part about it was because there were stats for the power daggers, and then there was stats for the power bow, and it was just easy to kind of make it work. I do specifically like the multiple targets effect, where I take a downshift on my attack, and I can hit a second target, which is pretty rad. hasn't necessarily always worked out the best for me, but Sophie's not meant to fight anyway. So that was a cool thing that Matt added. There's room for creativity in the system. You just got to know how things work first.
Yeah. Play the game. Try it. See how it works. Have fun. Get creative.
Yeah, I think level 4, that's the level 5, I don't get anything new.
No.
Guess who doesn't get extra attack at level 5? As everybody at the table so kindly reminded me last session.
Guess who got to hear about the fact that someone doesn't get to hear about getting extra attack at level 5 just before we started this.
Yeah, it was. I'm not mad about it, honestly, though. Just
Brian,
because it doesn't make sense for
your way.
No, I'm not even mad about it, honestly, because it makes sense for Sophie. Peter's teaching her how to fight, though. She'll get it. She'll get it by level 11. She'll fight like a badass by level 11.
She does, however, get an extra idea point. I clearly can't speak properly tonight. I apologise to everybody listening.
I got the extra idea point at level 5, I think it was. I got the third one. I need to remember to use them more often. Damn. I'm just so confident in Sophie's mind that I forget. I can... Yeah. It'll be fine.
Trust the dice.
Trust the dice. Don't do that. Don't trust your dice. Always find a way to get an edge. I have a feeling I'll be using them more often, though. Blame it on Peter. It's always Peter's fault.
I blame everything on Peter, personally. I blame everything on Michael. Particularly when he's not here to defend himself.
He's in chat, though. He'll say something in a minute.
I can just ignore him.
Always find a way to get more dice. That's true. I actually am getting a new set of dice for Sophie next week, hopefully, that I can debut for the game, that are actually blue. It's my first ever set of handmade dice, and I'm getting them from my best girl. Anyway, so let's cover the Zord creation.
Let's cover the Zord. I'm just very quickly, because unfortunately, Roll20 have not provided a Zord sheet.
I actually just put the details of it on the... There's 2 blue unicorn Thunderzord things. One of them is just a picture, but the one with the sheet attached to it... Yeah, I popped it on there. On the
I'll close this in.
Bio and info tab.
Brilliant. Let's close Sophie Marsh.
I just wanted to make your job easier for you, so it's been there.
One thing I will quickly add, health. You get health through your origin. So your origin will determine your starting health. At the moment, for a Power Ranger, and I'm going to specify that very, very much, the only other way to get health for a Power Ranger using the Power Rangers core rulebook is to put points into conditioning.
Yes! Don't forget your conditioning!
Don't forget conditioning. If you use nothing else for your strength, put points in conditioning.
Put at least 2 or 3 strength, and then dump it all in conditioning, man. It's not worth it to...
Have 2 health, 3 health beginning game. 2 health I would recommend. If you get hit with a normal hit, generally is 1 damage. At least you still up and standing.
Yeah, no, after spoilers, when I leveled to level 4, I definitely put a fourth health, because I was like, not fun when you get critted on by the GM's really scary threats.
Fantastic. Let us, as I said, let's close this and let us open this one. Woo! I opened the right one. Go me.
By the way, I would like to give a shout out to the art department because my Zord is sexy.
In fact, let's open the other one because
with the bigger art.
Yeah.
Hello, sexy unicorn.
That's really big on the OBS overlay. Thank you to the art department. The art department is one person. That one person is our Green Ranger. Sometimes I will draw over them digitally, but 99% of the stuff we use is our Green Ranger, Michael. Who
Thanks, Michael.
can't draw. He is adamant. So
he's a liar.
Yeah.
Also,
I was just throwing it out there for the chat. Just so
also the token for Sophie, also by Michael. Yeah, so next time you run into the art department, say something nice to him.
Token for Sophie there as well, also for Michael. Yep, this is indeed coloured pencil. Oh.
He's a traditional artist.
Can we do a quick spoiler?
I mean, you can decide whatever you want to spoil.
What I'm going to say is we're going to do a quick spoiler, but what I'm going to do...
Oh, is it the sexy bug lady?
Has he shown it to you?
It was in the server.
Yes.
He showed it to all of us.
He did. I forgot about that. We're going to do the spoiler, but while I'm getting that ready, you tell us about your blue unicorn Thunderzord.
Do we want to go through the steps of actually building it?
We do indeed.
Okay, excellent. So
if you're following along, sorry, just very quickly, if you're following along, go to page 134, please.
Do we want to talk about the base stats and everything? Yep. All right, cool. Okay, so if you have turned your page to the Zord creation rules, there is a set of baseline Zord statistics. You know, huge size, health 6, strength 6, speed 4, and yeah. Every Zord has a default 1 armor and has 17 toughness and 14 evasion and 40 feet of movement. So those are kind of the baseline stats. Yeah. And then you have a bunch of skills for the Zord, which I always assume that like they applied to the Zord like if they were on autopilot, like their own brawn, their own ability to lift, their own hit points. Yeah, and their own initiative if they were acting on autopilot. So that's what those skills are for.
Exactly. The only time... I'm trying to make this more precise, so slow myself down for a second. When you're controlling your Zord, you use your driving. So if you want to make an attack, you use your driving. You want to make a ranged attack, you use your driving. You want to lift something heavy, you use your Zord's brawn, because it's your Zord's physical ability to lift something. See the difference between the two? When you're making a Zord, go to page 134, start with that baseline Zord statistics. Lots of people I'm chatting with are going straight to the examples the Dinozords on page 141 onwards. They're not level 3 Zords. They're slightly higher up. You don't know what level the Rangers are that are controlling them. So they're not your Zord. Not necessarily. You could build a Zord like it, but that's not for a starting level 3 Power Ranger. You want to start with a baseline Zord statistics.
Right, and then... No, it's okay. I would not necessarily the best at explaining it, so that clarification is very important. And then we have a list of basic Zord features that apply to all of the Zords.
So as you sort of look through the book, as you look through the page, you have skills that all of the Zords start with. You have Zord features that all of the Zords start with. So the two that they begin with are call to action.
Call to action.
And recall for
Call
repairs.
to action is the worst. I don't like it.
So there's... I'm going to put my hand up right now. I
don't like that it's going to take me 6 rounds to...
I'm aware.
Wait for my Zord to show up.
Feel sorry isn't the accurate term. But what I would like people to realise, this isn't an arbitrary amount of time that Brian pulled out of thin air to torment them. Brian C.P. Steele, who is one of the writers who worked on the Power Rangers book, actually sat and watched multiple episodes of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and timed how long it took for the Zords to come when they were called. He sat and timed how long it took for them to make it to the battle.
I mean...
Over and over again.
I gotta give it to him. That's...
It's not. He didn't just go. It's going to take 3D2 rounds.
No, I know. I still hate the fact that I flipped it 2-3 times. How the hell did that happen?
Yeah. I know.
Like not even on Roll20, like on a physical D2, and I'm sad about it. It's fine though. It's fine. Figured out.
But yes, literally timed it. Recall for repairs. You know what? I've actually not read.
Recall for repairs is just what happens when
when you get to 0
when you
health.
get 0 health and then they get sent back to repair and are out of commission.
Yeah, basically they need to rest for a little while before they can get back up and help.
Right. Do you want to...
Did you want to carry on?
No, I was just wondering... Okay, so you're probably going to want to cover automatic Zord features, because you did something specific.
I did do something specific.
But I will say, there is a Zord feature that your Zord gets based on your spectrum. And this is probably my favorite thing about the Unicorn Thunder Zord.
Yes.
Specifically because it just pretty much fit for Sophie. And it's called Enhance Attack. And what I did with Enhance Attack, let me just pull it up. Okay, so the Zord has an enhanced form of one of its attack types or weapon systems, making it more potent. And because Sophie is a ranged combatant, I chose her range attack to improve with this Zord feature. Enhanced Attack either lets you get an upshift to the attack, +1 damage, or there's a list of special effects that you can choose from. If you have options to add things, always look at the special effects because they're really rad. So the options that I had were double melee reach, which does not apply, adds a 30-60 to ranged reach. So, and then reduces the target speed by a D2 or a D4 if taken twice. Ignores armor bonus to toughness. Gain multi-weapon 2. Or change the damage type. And to fit Sophie's kind of vibe and theme, I chose gain multi-weapon 2 for, multiple targets. Which means that for the Unicorn Thunderzords, the Blue Unicorn Thunderzords ranged attack, I can roll with an upshift, or I can roll with 3 upshifts if I only have 1 target.
Yep. So with the option that Anne chose for Sophie, if there's 2 targets, you can shoot at 2 targets. Or if you want to focus on 1, you can make 1 attack and gain a number of upshifts equal to
it's 2
the trait -1.
Oh, it's 2 upshifts actually.
So for you,
it's 2 upshifts for me.
You get 2 upshifts from other bits and pieces.
2. It gave me. Hold on. It gave me 2 specifically.
Oh.
Let me check it. Did I do it wrong this entire time?
We may need to double check something before next game.
Yeah. I think I.
1 second.
I think it just equal to how many. If it's equal to the trait itself because it's multi-weapon 2. I gained the 2 upshifts. I think that's what it was. We'll double check this later. But multi-weapon, that's a whole thing. Because I know that I gain an upshift from something else. I think it was.
You gain an upshift for.
Is it Martial Sword?
Oh, I can't talk. I don't know why I can't talk today. I'm very sorry, everybody. There's upshifts for energy attacks on grown monsters.
That's the one, because
there's upshifts for different bits and pieces as well. There's lots of upshifts going on.
Right. So the.
Let's have a look. Oh.
Yeah, so that was kind of the big thing, because the blue spectrum has.
But there are a lot of upshifts going on.
It's nice because you don't necessarily have to have the best driving skill, as long as. No, when you are in your Zord, you do not get a snag for not having a driving skill.
It's more than just that.
Well, I mean, that's an important thing to know.
Yeah, that is an important thing. So when... Oh. Chat just said that they... Oh, okay. Chat just said that they couldn't see us.
No, it's... Okay, they fixed it, so that's good.
Yeah. I'm not sure what happened. You do not gain snag whilst driving your Zord. Full stop.
Yeah, at all. You don't roll it. You don't roll it with a snag.
You're shooting past your normal range. No snag. You don't have a D2 in driving.
No snag.
No snag. The enemy's supposed to give you a snag. No snag.
Wait. Oh, even if it's something that they're doing with whatever special ability?
No snag.
Amazing.
Whilst driving your
You
Zord.
get it. It's the idea that the Zord kind of assists you, doesn't it? A little bit.
Yes. Whilst you're in a Megazord, on the other hand.
Oh yeah, we don't.
That's slightly different, but we're not going to talk about Megazords today.
Nope, because we don't have one for this team.
We do not use a Megazord at this point in time.
Megazord, we don't know her.
With the automatic Zord features, as Anne said, so there's a list of some of them for the Zordon era of the TV shows. So there's the Battleborgs for the Aquitar Rangers. There's the Dino Zords, the Mega Vehicle Zords, the Turbo Zords, the Zeozords.
Turbo Zords are in there too, aren't they? The Turbo Zords are in there.
They are indeed. Yeah. Did I not say Turbo Zords? I meant to say Turbo Zords. We, being unique people that we are, did our own. As these are the Thunder Zords, we went with upgraded Zord, Thunder upgrade. And we also went, because we decided to go with a more bipedal fighty Zord style, Martial Zord. Because it makes it a more humanoid shape.
Is that the one that that's the one that allows the Zords to respond to our movement, correct?
It does indeed, so it gives you a +1 upshift to melee combat as well.
Backflipping Gundam. Sorry, that's a reference if you've seen the series.
That is a reference. And also one that our art department would love. Yeah. The Zord features, you get to sort of pick isn't an accurate term, because as Anne said, as your spectrum based options are kind of defined by what spectrum you are. So as a blue spectrum you get enhanced attack. With the automatic Zord features you get 2 that have been determined by the team. At level 6, he says, with 78% confidence.
Yeah, at level 6 we get another Zord feature.
Yes. At level 5 you do get a different option, which is on page 134. And that is something specifically for your Zord. So they can get an extra health, some extra armor for their toughness bonus. They can move a little bit quicker with some speed bonus, some movement bonus. What did you pick, Anne, for Sophie?
At level 5, I picked a damage bonus for the the ranged attack.
For the unicorn lasers.
For the unicorn lasers. Yup.
Why not indeed?
I mean, gotta lean into it, right?
Lean into it.
So we're talking about level 5?
We are talking about level 5.
Okay, so speaking of level 5, I may have jumped the gun on something last session because it was like super relevant, but it's something that has not narratively come up yet since it's January 1st in game, and technically no one's gone to school yet. But I did add a third influence to Sophie and decided to make her a student of grid tech. I have a question though.
Go for
I
it.
wanted her to have more of a morphin grid. Like I wanted her to learn more about the morphin grid and not necessarily the physical tech. So is grid tech relevant? Do we need to switch it specifically to morphin grid?
No, grid tech is relevant.
So the idea was that it was supposed to come up narratively later, but I was like, wait, we're rolling stuff now. It's here. It's happening.
And I very specifically, if you were watching at the time or are watching at a later point on a video on demand, when we covered the influences, I very specifically said at character creation, you are limited to 3.
Yes.
At character creation.
And I quote Matthew from last week. You can gain influences in play. Which means you could theoretically have more than 3 influences. But I don't know. With all of the hang-ups and things, it gets a little unwieldy. I wouldn't recommend it. Unless you're...
There could be a lot of hang-ups.
It's just 2 hang-ups. It's fine. I can manage it.
No, just, yeah, for 3 it's not too bad.
You don't want to get bogged up
all of
in
the influences.
You don't want to get too bogged up in hang-ups. However, I looked at the student hang-up and was like, I don't know if it's exactly meant to work this way, but because I was already kind of seeing Sophie do it a little bit, I kind of feel like her trying to science her way through the grid tech stuff and the morphin grid, I kind of feel like it wouldn't always work to her favor. So when I looked at student, I was like, that actually kind of makes sense that she wouldn't be as successful, or she'd have to spend an idea point to offset, the fact that it may not necessarily be a medical thing or a science thing. I wanted to give her intelligence. Like, on paper, she's highly intelligent at a very specific thing. I wanted to kind of give her a little bit more of a limitation, because I am that kind of person that, like, because there are people who would lean into the high intelligence and play a blue spectrum character as a know-it-all who has all the answers. I thought it would offset Sophie a little bit to look at things and not have the answers. So that was kind of part of my reasoning for taking the influence later. But her personality is that she's always looking for the answers. Like, I don't get grid tech, but I'm going to learn about it. So that's kind of the missing piece. Because initially when I built Sophie, I was like, it doesn't really make sense for her to be a Blue Ranger. She's not really into the tech stuff. But then, like, over the course of time, I kind of found my in. I mean, it doesn't hurt that Peter's a giant nerd and she just kind of gets swept up in it a lot of the time. See previous session for an example. But
yep.
So yeah, that was more of a narrative choice. I went to Matt and said, "Hey, could this happen?" And when you go to Matthew with a reasonable request, it's he's like, "Sure, why not?" So
this makes it
also work. I'm pretty sure he just wants to see the hang-ups and how they're going to play out. So there you go.
Part of it is an embrace of the chaos.
Okay, but Sophie's chaos is very situational and very limited.
Yep.
I mean, no, I think that's more a victim of me getting more and more unhinged as I play this character. It has nothing to do with Sophie.
I'm not going to say anything that would be spoilerish. But a different player came to me with a question request recently that I was kind of like, I can make this work.
Also,
And as we were talking about it,
Yeah.
it
It's
sledgehammered an idea into my head.
It's like when I told you I wanted to put Mariner Bay in my backstory.
And we have Lightspeed Rangers
Oh.
and demons.
And Sophie having a meltdown because she's afraid of what's going to happen next. It's fine.
It's all good.
Look, it's fine.
It happens.
Yeah, I mean, that's fun. Yeah, so that's Sophie in a nutshell. A few things that I've done kind of, what else have I done? At level 3, I gave her an extra rank of persuasion just so it wouldn't look super shady on her sheet that she's better at lying than being persuasive. What else did I do that was really fun? What was it? It was after episode 14 when we leveled up to level 4, I think it was, that I put an extra rank in conditioning for bringing her up to a grand total of 4 health. Those are some notable things. And at level 5, I gave her an extra rank in science, so she now has a D4. So those are kind of the overview of Sophie, like
The
snapshot. Very smart, but also like well-rounded. I didn't want her to feel too much like a one-trick pony, but I also wanted her to feel like she's very good at specific things and not so much in others. And at the same time, so she has limited skill die in her targeting and her finesse, but those are her like attacking skills. She can defend herself if she needs to. Yeah, and at level 4 I took dodgy because I was like, it would make sense for her to try to be more careful, and then it became a whole thing. So I am a big proponent of making character choices, mechanics choices based on what has happened to your character and taking that journey rather than, optimizing all the time and not considering, the events that are happening to your character. So, I can make decisions and plan all I want, but, Peter's going to do something, get blown up again. There might be a change in plans. Love you, Michael, but it's probably going to happen again.
Who knows? And just for the record, the chat has proposed. Oh, you've seen the chat proposed the concept one-trick unicorn.
Look, it's one horn.
Not one-trick pony. One-trick unicorn.
One that's got one horn, but many tricks. Yeah.
Fantastic.
I think if there are any, if there are any questions in chat, clarifications that anybody needs, we're open to answering some questions. Probably more Matt than me.
We are indeed.
But
throw them out.
Yeah.
Except for Michael. Michael can't ask any questions.
No, Michael's just here for me to tease him and call him out on stream.
He's sent me a message on my phone.
Is he yelling at you about something?
Oh, yes, I forgot. Oh. Sorry.
What? What is he referring
I forgot to share the picture.
Oh, yeah. Share the picture.
I got it all ready and everything, and then completely forgot about it.
So,
if that's what you messaged me about, I apologize.
We're talking about how the art department makes all of the villains hot last night. Me and Panic and Black Ranger Michael were in chat with Phoenix Melody. We were in voice chat and we were talking about how the art department keeps making all the villains hot. because we were talking about Inferno. So
so for those who don't know, although I'm fairly certain it's been, I don't know if it has been mentioned in game. The players know. Michael, who plays Peter, and I know each other in person and do see each other, and we saw each other on Sunday for a couple of hours, and I threw my iPad at him, and this is what he produced.
Oh no. Oh dang. Why is the art
individual who can't draw?
Why does the art department keep making hot villains? Michael, stop that. But also keep doing it because you're really good at it. Please continue doing it. Make them scary. Stop making them hot.
I did not shout work. I was like, do you want to see how to use this?
Okay, but like, when this eventually comes after us. Whoa, those pointy things look really dangerous. I don't know if I like that, but also, why is this thing unreasonably hot?
Like, look at those wings. Oh, wrong layer.
This monster looks unreasonably hot and scary.
I'm just gonna fly the bee around because I'm weird. Yeah.
Right. Do we have any?
Well,
do we have any questions in chat?
There doesn't seem to be any questions in the chat.
All right, that's good. That's good. Also, if that's gonna come after us in the next, why are you doing that, Matthew? If that's gonna come after us in the next month, I'm gonna be really terrified.
In my defense, I told Michael to draw what he wanted to draw, and I would make stats for them.
Oh. This is gonna be the jerk that drains our essence.
This isn't me. This is Michael.
Are you saying it's Michael's fault?
Yes.
Of course you are. Okay. Let me see if...
Just as a reminder from earlier, I'll pop it on the schedule for the channel, but I will be doing a stream tomorrow. Come to the channel, come to the chat. We will make a character together. We will make a Zord together. Let's have fun.
Have you rolled up your Blue Ranger yet? Hilariously,
I have.
You have?
Kind of.
Oh, I was gonna say
notes.
No, I was gonna say you can just roll up your own character and show people what you're doing.
I could. But I was gonna make it interesting and let the chat literally make decisions.
That's really fun too.
So I had no input in it.
I mean, that's a great idea.
I have a question about the Green Ranger's unique weapon. I know you need to leave. Do you want to leave now?
I don't need to leave. I can hang.
You can hang for a minute?
I can hang for as long as you need me to.
Fantastic. Green Ranger's unique weapon. I'm just opening a book because we're still going old school. Mostly because I don't open this book as much as I should have. Page 44, Green Ranger's unique weapon. Table 4.4, unique weapon traits. You can roll, or you can pick. You do not have to pick a row. Yeah. So you could pick, for example, ranged weapon that gains 2 upshift when attacking targets at least 3 sizes larger. But the user loses 1d4 personal power upon a roll of a natural 1 to hit. There is indeed.
Got it.
Are you?
You're welcome.
Oh, you're amazing. Thank you very much. So the weapon, indeed, you choose which of the type, which of the special abilities, and which of the item risks. Whichever one you want to pick. Solo Strike, unfortunately, is only a melee ability, at least at the moment. But yes, you can mix and match the Green Ranger weapon. So you could go with a two-handed melee might, which is option 4 on type of weapon and skill used. You could say that it stores up to 3 personal power for the wielder to use, but that it does not morph with the user. So you've constantly got a great big sword, hammer, axe.
And that is the reason I play a White Ranger and not a Green Ranger and on my Friday game, because I can't deal with all the Green Ranger unique weapon BS. Also, there's not an option for sentience in the Green Ranger's unique weapon.
Sentience is pretty awesome as well.
Sentience is the reason the White Ranger's grid relic weapon is better. Sorry, Michael, but it's true.
I agree. The actual weapon, you'd then pick an example from the equipment table that's closest to what you're after. So if we use the example we just used of a two-handed melee might, and we're going to go to... I'm trying to find a two-handed melee might. We're going to go with a close combat bludgeon on page 112/113. Bottom of the page. So that's your sledgehammer, baton, basically something big and heavy that's going to transfer a lot of impacts when you swing it. And then you work with your GM. So as it is, that is your weapon. It is a Green Ranger weapon, whatever you want to call it, that it does one or two. It's a one or two-handed weapon. Two-handed does blunt 1 damage. You could use the power sword as a base for it. Yeah, nothing to stop you. Two-handed might, as long as you're sort of picking from the requirements, you're all good. And one, again, talking, like, sort of pointing back to something I said earlier, talk to your GM, get creative. If you're the GM, it's slightly more difficult, because as much as I say talk to the GM and get creative, I would suggest playing the game before getting creative, because I would say it's easier to have an idea about... It's really cool to do lots of damage. Really cool to do lots of damage. But then when you give somebody a 4 damage weapon and they go and crit on a fight and take out the monster that everybody was supposed to fight for 2 or 3 rounds at the end of the session in one hit, the system didn't make a mistake. You did, but not, it wasn't an intentional thing. You just didn't realise that that was going to have the effect it did. So play the game, mess around, learn,
yeah,
have fun.
It's it's the kind of game that is really hard to just pick up and run if you haven't tried it. And I mean, you know, having friends who have run it and bounce ideas off of is always really good. Finding that community of people who people who know what they're talking about, like Matthew.
I would say best thing I did was go to the Renegade Games Discord. I definitely sound biased now.
Don't worry about it.
It is a great community. It is a great community. Brian Steele, again, he comes on for an hour a day, Monday to Friday, to answer questions. He is so helpful. People who have been here since the book first released, who know the answers because they've been here, will also answer the questions. Sometimes they'll even quote the rules that Brian has answered so that you know that they're not making it up off the top of their head. It's a really useful place to come to, especially if it's a game you want to run. I definitely would recommend it. If you go to the Renegade Games website, bottom of their page, in fact,
you need to fix the bot command for YouTube so we can can.
I can only
let me grab that link really quick.
Username.
Yeah, that's probably
I
the
didn't
thing.
think to check. I did with OBS.
Yeah.
I was smart enough to check OBS before we streamed. Yeah, bottom of the page.
Let me see if
Renegade Games, there is a lovely logo for the Discord.
Yeah.
Is there? You said.
Yeah, there's all of the socials and all of the things, right? I think it's actually in the menu under community. Hold on, what was it that I was looking at before? Yeah, streaming communities, I think it was. I thought I saw the Discord linked on there. Nope, that's not it. Where did I see?
Social communities?
Where did I see the Discord? Social communities?
Social communities hub.
There it is.
Yeah. I lied to you. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, not streaming communities, social communities. My bad.
Fantastic
there you
place.
Go.
Introduce yourself in the intros channel. As I said, I am biased. I am one of the mods. I spend way too much time in there. Come say hi. Yeah. And if you want to build a Power Ranger and Zord tomorrow, come hang out. Same time as today. If not, we'll see you Thursday. Although Anna, I think, has something to say.
Oh, I just wanted to say I am a TTRPG performer that does a lot of stuff. Follow me on Twitter at XO_GoWonder because I play a lot of games. Also, if you want to hear me, or if you want to read more about Sophie, because I write a lot of stuff about her because she lives rent-free in my head, you can visit my Tumblr, girlwonder.ca. It's supposed to be a blog for all of my characters for me to dump ideas in, but it's mostly just Sophie. She's taken over my life. She's my entire personality now, so I will put a link in chat, and you can check that out. That's it. That's all I got. Anyway, thank you.
Have a good day, evening, etc., and hopefully see some of you tomorrow and some of you Thursday. Bye all.
Bye.